listening to Bound for Glory on SYN. My name's Ben Kazupi.
I'm Jordan Whitty, yet again.
I'm Ethan Meldrum.
Pralab Gupta.
I'm Damon Jackman.
And
Damon Jackman is history's greatest monster.
And providing technical issues don't throw us out, we'll bring you an hour of football coverage. Guys,
the best football coverage.
Oh, best.
The only football coverage.
On SYN.
Yes.
Last night posed us the question, Eurovision or football? Which one did you watch?
I flicked between both.
I'm not ashamed to say I watched Eurovision and tweeted about it a lot.
Yeah, I noticed.
She lost about 13 followers last night because of what I was tweeting about Eurovision.
I actually watched The Avengers, so
Avengers.
neither of them.
Damn, man,
choice.
come on.
Now, I will admit, I did watch some footy. I did sort of lose my way in the third quarter, but it was an interesting game. It seemed as if the start, Geelong's first 3 goals pretty much was the difference in the end.
It was just easy footy in the first quarter by Geelong. The Doggies just didn't have any intensity at all.
And the Bulldogs, like in the last couple of weeks, has responded, and they actually won the contested ball, the Western Bulldogs. They've done this a few weeks in a row.
Playing against Geelong, it's not hard, though, because they've lost the contested possession count in, every game this year now? It's incredible stat, even though they're reigning premiers 5-4, losing their contested possessions like they are, even with Joel Selwood in there.
Is that something they should be concerned?
Well, they're winning games, so I'm not entirely sure.
Against the Dogs, though, you sort of have to combat Picken and Addison to the flags they
Addison
are.
was out last night.
Was he?
Yeah, he's suspended.
Goodness.
That's why you don't watch Eurovision.
Yeah, it's an addictive thing. But no, I'm talking about Picken and Boyd, Cross, guys like that. They love the hard ball. Liberatore, while he's still young, is probably one of the best contested ball winners in that side.
Boyd had 34 last night.
Yeah, and it went at 88%. That's incredible. Incredible efficiency
what
rate.
I thought was even better was Mitch Wallet having 24 at 96% efficiency.
That's
he had like
impressive.
5 clearances, 5 tackles. It was a really good game.
How many handballs to kicks though?
I think it was 10 and 14.
Oh, that's pretty good then.
Libba picked up about
11, 13. Not bad.
Not bad. Libba picked up 25 odd.
24.
24. Same
and
as well.
They both kick goals, and that's something you want to see from the Bulldogs midfield at this point in time, because for only, I think, 10 minutes, Liam Jones looked like a real presence. Other than that, he was extraordinarily quiet.
He took a few good marks. Really, really impressive.
Just going back to Liberatore and Wallace, it's like I think the Bulldogs, when their draft, you were really happy with the fact that they managed to get Liberatore and Wallace with first and second round picks, because I think the general consensus was that they were both going to be extremely high draft picks were they not father-son. So
they were huge scalps,
they've
though.
stolen those two.
Have we underrated the Western Bulldogs?
No, I think Geelong always tend to peak at the right time period, so I would not be surprised if they're training very hard in preparation for the bye, and I think they will peak come finals time.
I think still we have to realise that the Western Bulldogs didn't win last night. Geelong won.
That's a good point.
Well, they shot themselves in the foot. Watching that last quarter, they shot themselves in the foot, especially a few crucial goals missed by Roughhead and Skinner.
Roughhead didn't kick a goal last night. He had 3 behinds, which is just not good enough from him.
He is a worry.
That forward line setup is a worry. I mean, Skinner came on and he kicked a goal, didn't he? And it was crucial, and then he had another shot and he missed. And, that was really the tale of the night, that neither team sort of wanted it in the end. Geelong would just happen to be in front and they pushed at the right time. Simpsons reference. And
what about sorry to interrupt you there, Ben. What about Stevie J and
Terrific
what
game.
what may
Great
now
game.
very well be described as the catalyst in his career, and him going to a more midfield / halfback role. And he had it 36 times last night and just
14
absolutely
marks.
lit up the Dogs.
145 Dream Team points.
He had 146 in Supercoach.
Is it more of an option for him to go to the back line and more in the midfield now, rather than just being a forward line? Because I think he only contributed a solitary point to the scoreboard last night.
Well, considering that the Cats have a more inexperienced backline, they've lost Melbourne, Enright, Callie, they're not...
Enright played well last night.
Enright was okay, but you feel as if that they're in decline now. They're starting to move away, and I think they were the backbone of that success. I mean, you can talk about, Selwood, Bartel, the Ablets of that era, but, at the end of the day, it was Kelly and Enright really creating that run and drive off half-back, and you feel as if it's been diminished a little. And I guess moving, someone like Stevie J back there, who's a real X-factor, really gave them something last night when they needed it.
I think Motlop played a good game as well. He's one to
I
look
like
forward
that.
to.
He's
3
a very
goals
good footballer.
He's really speedy. It's really good asset for Geelong, running through the middle.
It's going to make it very difficult for Varco, Christensen and Menzel, who all sit on the sidelines at the moment due to injury.
Geelong rate Menzel so high, though, he'll come back here.
He'll come back. Christensen should come back.
Have they signed Menzel? Is he signed?
They did re-sign him during the week.
Yep.
Well, on that note, do you think Menzel could go to half-back, or maybe Christensen could go to half-back to join Varco?
Or Varco, even.
Varco can play.
I think Christensen was playing off half-back at some point earlier in the season, late last year.
He did start off on the half-forward flank, but injuries held him back. He's out with a calf injury. And over the next month, they'll get players back. Wojcinski's also still to come back. He's an extremely underrated runner. I think he runs
just
all day.
really fast.
As the name runner suggests.
Well, he's played 199 games, Wojcinski. He's sure to come back, you'd think. He's just very experienced. Great runner. I don't think he's losing that with age, so he'll be a good asset after the bye, probably, you'd think.
So, Geelong, finals, top four, what?
Finals, but not top
Finals,
four.
definitely, maybe not top four.
I don't think top four.
How far can they go?
But you think they could make it to a prelim with their finals experience?
I reckon they'll lose a semi.
And we'll be back after
losing
some of these SYN messages and we'll talk some more footy.
Get cereal!
Slept in this week?
This is what you missed.
It annoys me when people with really complicated names, like 5-syllable names, get annoyed that I forget their name because they've remembered my name. I'm like, my name is Mark. You can pretty much grunt and I'll turn around.
Isn't that a book about farting, or am I way off here?
Well, that they
No,
fart. It's about farting. No. That's
the premise of the book.
Oh, no, that's Captain Underpants. Sorry, way off.
Get cereal. Get cereal.
Get cereal from 6am weekdays only on SYN.
And we're back on SYN, and I think Ethan's going to discuss some of the coaches that have been under fire during the week and whether that's fair or not.
Well, recently we've seen a few coaches, all coaching teams that have probably been lacklustre over the past 2-3 weeks, fair to say. Melbourne, North Melbourne and Carlton, so Mark Neeld, Brad Scott and Brett Ratten. We'll talk about Brad Scott later. I think Jordan's going to discuss that. But But Mark Neeld and Brett Ratten in particular, along with Brad Scott, of course, they've come under the pump this week due to their teams playing poorly. It's just fair to say, but I don't feel that they exactly deserve it. Is just the entire point I was going to make. The players for Melbourne, Carlton, North, they just haven't seemed to want it over the past few weeks. And I don't think the coaches particularly deserve it. I think as the figurehead, they cop too much attention for when their teams are playing poorly, whether it's the players' fault, assistant coaches' fault, fitness issues, I don't know. But I think the coaches cop too much stick in the end. What do you guys think about it?
Well, who do you want to discuss first, Melbourne or Carlton?
We'll probably go with Melbourne.
Let's go with Melbourne.
Melbourne.
Get that out of the way.
God, they're bad.
They're a frequent topic on this show, aren't they?
Well, being a Melbourne supporter. It's
Well,
unfortunate.
So bad.
I just want to say David King came out during the week, and he's a.
That was ridiculous.
I
That
think
Football luminary that he is.
I think
Love it, King.
he was spot on something that he said. Not that Neeld isn't the right man, because Neeld is the right man. He's a driven person. No one who becomes an AFL coach doesn't want to succeed, and
Except for Dean Bailey. Hello.
Oh, slander in the morning. It's
Hilarious.
great. But I don't think that's the right game plan for Melbourne. I've seen them play twice,
The contested ball.
going along the boundary, because they've done that. They did that.
That's the Collingwood way, isn't it? That's where he's pretty much
There
drawn his
was-
game plan from.
Why
Some
did they
form.
make James Magner a tagger?
Is this a Supercoach related issue? Or?
No, I'm
No.
like, why? He was
He's
was so good in the
he's
first
a-
couple of weeks, and he is probably Melbourne's best player for the first couple of weeks, and now they've turned him into a tagger, and he's so much less effective than he was.
It's because the opposition have the ball all the time, so it's better off with him tagging.
But still,
I think with the game plan, because where I was sitting, because I saw them play against the Brisbane Lions and against Richmond, and I was sitting in the forward pocket, and you get that wide view of the ground from behind the goals. And when Collingwood play that game plan, when they go around the boundary, there's always defensive setups, in the middle of the ground to prevent, the opposition once they get the ball from going into the middle or running over the other side. And Melbourne just don't run hard enough off the ball. There was just no physical, presence on their men, and when the ball did get loose to that other side or even through the corridor, Brisbane and Richmond scored heavily.
But I don't think it's really a Mark Neeld related issue. is
Oh
it?
no! Well, then again, yes, it might be just the
So-
players aren't working hard enough, or even
but-
you could ask, do the players have the stamina to work that game plan?
I mean, at the end of the day, the coach is responsible ultimately for the performances of the players, for motivation of the players to make sure they are working hard, and it's up to the coach to make that statement. So, as far as I'm concerned, if you're talking about any coach, they take the credit when the team wins, and they should take the credit when the team is losing, and in this currently dire straits that Melbourne are.
That's a fair point. Also, just on that, Prahlad, you say the coach needs to rev up the players. What if some players just aren't playing for the coach? Like, is that something that you just need to get rid of? Like, out? You're not playing if you have like no respect. I heard Dermot Brereton on SEN last night, and he made a good point that Alan Jeans, a coach who was already a premiership coach and a well successful person at that time, he said to new players that I have to win your respect, and you have to do the likewise as well. It's a two-way street, and it's not going to work. You're not going to be playing games if you don't respect. You might not agree with me, but you have to respect with what I'm saying. Sylvia, Maloney, Davey, they're not. I don't think they respect Neeld.
Well, my question to you is, how can something go so wrong so quickly that Mark Neeld has already lost the players?
I don't think they were there at the start.
So you think he actually never had them?
I think
No,
he never
I don't
had
think so.
senior players. The fact that he at the start of the year picked Trengove and Grimes as captain just
That's
shows-
obvious. That's obviously a long-term thing. That's Melbourne looking to the future. They're 10-year captains.
That
both of
was
them.
exactly, and I think just the senior players had nothing to offer on the same thing. I mean, aside from Nathan Jones,
When Brad Green is your best option for captain.
I think Nathan Jones.
He was at the time best option for captain. I will mention that.
If Grimes and Trengove went, I'd give it to Nathan Jones. People are criticising Trengove. That's having an effect on him.
I have a feeling he's injured, to be honest.
I think
I think he's playing under some sort of
There's a
injury
lot
cloud.
to put on a 20-year-old kid to be
There
captain
is.
of the oldest football club in existence.
Him and Grimes, collectively.
Well, Grimes is a natural leader. He showed that from his first game. But I think we got to move on to Carlton.
Oh, no.
We're
We're
dishing it back. We're dishing it back.
I've copped enough from everybody on the panel.
Hey, Damon,
I think it's your turn.
we're dishing it out
Yeah,
to Carlton.
the
now.
Carlton.
How fun.
Although I
We're
did
talking about the
tip
Premiership
Adelaide,
favourites,
I
aren't we?
must admit.
The Premiership
Oh,
favourite
yeah.
We're
Carlton.
not
That's
talking
the
about
same club we're
Premiership
talking
favourite
about.
Carlton.
Well, they're no longer the Premiership
I think they're
favourites
like
now.
fourth favourite or
Get
fifth
anywhere
favourite.
near it without Mark Murphy.
Gibbs, if he doesn't play well this weekend, do you think he's going back to the VFL? Because that's 3 weeks in a row.
I think
That's
he needs-
unacceptable.
I think he needs to be dropped just to give him a rocket.
I think Ratten plays him off half-back. I think now with Murphy injured, it's a good opportunity for Gibbs to go into the midfield and sort of prove his worth, because in the Sandful he played against grown men in the midfield and performed well. So it's an opportunity to get in there and turn his form around, hopefully anyway.
I think, and as you said, the coaches don't deserve blame, but I will say this about Ratten. He was an hour late to put Mitch Robertson into the midfield last week.
Did he actually do it in the end?
He did it at half-time. I think it was, again, an hour too late. I think he should have done it from the start.
Mitch Robinson shouldn't be playing anywhere but the midfield.
Yeah, exactly, I agree.
Especially with his hardness as well. Like, we're losing the contested ball, we're losing sort of in the clearances as well. That's where we need him most.
It wasn't just that, because before Murphy got injured, he was held to 5 disposals. And Van Berlo had a pretty close, solid tag. He was always bumping him off the ball, and he wouldn't get that. And if you put Robinson as another hard body at that contest to stand in the way, Murphy gets the clean ball, and he's a fantastic user of the football. He's a
You almost
great player.
need the tagger to tag the tagger.
Yeah,
in a way.
Yeah,
in
you
modern
do.
footy,
Yeah. Just to block and give Murphy some space, or whoever's getting tagged, yeah.
But do you think we can solely blame that on Brett Ratten?
I think it was a poor move. The loss wasn't his fault. I don't think Carlton gave it their all, but that was definitely a bad move in my opinion.
I'll weigh in on this. My dad has been, he's listening, I know he is. My dad has been a Carlton supporter for as long as I can remember, and not once, ever, after a loss has he said, sack the coach. And in the last couple of weeks, the only thing I've heard come out of my dad's mouth is, get rid of Ratten.
Is it a case of opposition teams finding out Carlton pretty much and working out their game plan?
No, yeah, they've
You
been
mean
found
like
out.
they did to North?
Yeah,
The
no.
coach went and admitted it, sorry.
We'll talk about that a
We'll
bit
get to
later.
North
but-
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, absolutely. Carlton have been found out. And, they've been found out, and opposition teams know to get numbers around the contest, and Carlton have absolutely no way to stop that now. And I think this is where Lucas, Allard, Robinson, and, when he comes back, Nick Dygan maybe can get a run in the middle, because...
They've got a huge chance to step up. Kane Lucas in particular, really like him as a player.
The
Really
sort of players that
impressive.
should throw in there are Betts, Yaron as well. they're speedy sort of players.
Or even Garlett
Was
in
he-
the midfield.
Yeah, Garlett, yeah.
Was
yeah,
Lucas
just
like
mixed up.
he was a pick 9 in his year, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
he was up there. And we'll talk more footy, and we'll be back with Robert Shaw interview after this. You're listening to Bound for Glory on SYN.
Film,
Literature.
theatre,
Interpretive dance.
installation art,
Ballet.
opera,
Visual art.
origami,
Cabaret.
beat poetry,
Street art.
mime,
Puppetry.
burlesque.
Baroque.
Artsbin, SYN's Youth Sunday Arts Program, 4 p.m. Sundays on SYN.
It's time for a Panorama FYI.
The 2011 announced carbon tax aims to reduce Australia's carbon footprint by taxing industries on the amount of carbon they expel. As a result, heavily polluting industry products become more costly, while environmentally friendly industries become cheaper for the average consumer. Greener products become the norm in households rather than a luxury, and behavioural change towards fewer emissions occurs domestically and industrially. However, the plan is less than perfect, with many heavy polluters being exempt from the tax.
Get informed. Listen to Panorama 4:30 every weekday on SYN, or head to syn.org.au/panorama.
Lilu Dallas Multipass.
Yeah,
Multipass.
yeah, multipass. She knows it's a multipass. Lilu Dallas, this is my wife.
Multipass.
We're newlyweds, we just met. You know how it is. We bumped into each other, sparks happen.
Multipass.
Yes, she knows it's a multipass. Anyway, we're in love.
Klingan pub vi chodpu which kupdach mutai which vi sochnis.
The Klingonian ambassador would like you to know that he has a live cat in his pants.
Jikup vach ji.
And he enjoys it.
Pavam wab jub bi it we love. Dach 90.7 duck che li.
The Klingonian ambassador would like to add that you should listen to the Sci-Fi Hiker's Guide to the Galaxy, available on SYN 90.7 from 3 p.m. until 4. That or... Okay, I'll be completely honest, I have no idea what this guy's saying.
Kapwach.
Get cereal!
Slept in this week?
This is what you missed.
It annoys me when people with really complicated names, like 5-syllable names, get annoyed that I forget their name because they remembered my name. I'm like, my name is Mark. You can pretty much grunt and I'll turn around.
Isn't that a book about farting, or am I way off here?
Well, that they fart. It's about farting. No, that's no.
Premise of the
Oh, no, that's Captain Underpants. Sorry, way off.
Get cereal. Get cereal.
Get cereal from 6 a.m. weekdays only on SYN.
SYN would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people as the traditional owners of the land on which we broadcast. We pay respect to their elders, past and present.
It's time for a Panorama FYI.
What is concentration of media ownership?
Concentration of media ownership refers to the growing trend whereby more media outlets, such as newspapers, radio stations, websites and TV channels, are controlled by fewer individuals or organisations. In Australia, we have one of the most concentrated media sectors in the world. Looking at print alone, 11 of the 12 capital city daily newspapers are owned by only 2 companies.
Get informed. Listen to Panorama 4:30 every weekday on SYN, or head to syn.org.au/panorama.
Welcome back to Bound for Glory, and we'll start talking about North Melbourne.
Yeah, awful week for the Kangaroos. They gave
horrible.
Jeez, and he's come back in Augusta steam. Yeah, they've lost. They gave up a 5-goal lead in Adelaide, and they basically, threw a game that was penciled in. During that, obviously a team at that point needs to win those sort of games, and I think Jordan's going to talk more about it.
Look. The last couple of weeks, I watch my team every week. Obviously, the last couple of weeks I've watched the North Melbourne play, and I've noticed a disturbing trend, and that it's that the players are soft and it's North Melbourne like. What's been happening the last couple of weeks? It's not what I've grown up to see from North Melbourne. I don't enjoy it. It's not great to watch. For instance, we lost to the Dogs, who smashed us in contested possession. I think we talked about that earlier, and they have a really good contested midfield, but we're supposed to as well. Like, where was our contested midfield, guys? What happened? Sorry, you were going to say something? Go right ahead.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, they've been calling for Scott's head. Is that fair?
I don't think it is fair. I think that He's contracted for another year. He deserves to be there. He's got the players. He does, except for Cruz Garlett, who he just hates for some reason. And he's starting to make the changes which really do need to be made. In that this week he's brought in Aaron Black from WA, who's a sort of third tall key forward type player who I'm really looking forward to seeing get a full game if he's not the sub, which Scott does like to do. He likes to make our emerging players the subs. Brad McKenzie has gone out, unfortunately. I do like him as a player. He's got elite disposal, all that stuff. But, I don't think it's fair that people are calling for Scott to be sacked. I think that's an overreaction to something that is a problem which can only be fixed with time. Some people have said that they don't want to wait for North Melbourne to be successful and they want results now. But what I think is that it's something that needs to be figured out over time. There needs to be a long-term resolution to this problem, which is that we have a lot of young players in the team and they need games together, they need match experience, they need cohesion, all that stuff.
What's the pass mark for North this year then, in terms of development-wise?
Finals.
We need to make finals. We've finished 9th the last 2 years and anything less than finals is a failure. Midfield
has been poor. Bastanak, Cunnington, Zeeble to some extent, haven't shown at this point what, players other clubs do. They're still young. Most of them have still played under 50 games, but there's injury that has hampered their development.
And this year I do think that Cunnington has started to show what he's capable of. He's actually probably been one of our better players over the entire year. As for Zeeble, something I'm really excited about is the new development that's going to be going up in Arden Street and the surrounding precincts. It's actually going to be a 100-foot statue of Jack Zeeble. And what's going to be is you're going to be able to go up inside and stare at his eyes and you can see what he sees. That's something that's going to be, I think, undergoing development in the Arden Street area in the next couple of years. It's going to be really exciting, really exciting developments.
Yeah, you guys think that's a joke. That's actually all happening.
That's happening. We're getting funding for that
going
from the
through
government.
cancel planning as we speak.
Ben Cunnington?
Yes.
Wasn't he a top 5 pick?
He was pick 5. He went in the same draft as Dustin Martin and Anthony Vito, Trengo, Scully, all those guys. Fife, I think Fife is an anomaly. He's one of those players that is just a rare gem in the 20s or whatever. But taking a look at the Port game, which I've written down about here, we pretty much dominated general play for the entire game. We smashed Port in inside 50s. Just around the ground in general play, we completely dominated them. And then it got to the last quarter and it was like, well, hang on, let's just go to sleep. We're done. Thanks.
I think they got way too complacent then. Yep. They got to the stage where they were 32 points up. Port needed 6 goals to win. And
they got them.
And there was about 7 minutes to go, and North were just like, yeah, we've won this. Let's just kick it around, just play lazy footy.
And I sat on my couch and watched that last quarter with just absolute stunned disbelief. I've not seen...
So did I, but I enjoyed it.
I sat in a bar and just stared at the TV in disbelief. It was just 11 players...
And then began to drown your sorrows, I'm guessing?
No, I didn't. In fact, 11 players had 1 touch or less in that last quarter, and
that is appalling. That's players like Daniel Wells, Brent Harvey, Drew Petrie, Andrew Swallow. 1 touch in 1 touch or less in the last quarter of football in a really hotly contested game where it was incredibly obvious that Port were going to keep coming. That's not leadership. That's mental weakness, and that's something that I think Scott needs to address with the players. You can't teach leadership, but you can teach players to be better in crucial moments. I think that's what Scott needs to do.
And what are your thoughts on the actual game plan that North used? Do you feel it's something that will support them during any finals campaigns?
Well, from what I've been able to tell, we place a lot of emphasis on contested ball in the midfield, and when we get it, we just handball it everywhere. And Scott has said as much that teams have figured out our game plan, and when a coach goes out and says, North Melbourne we've got this game plan and the rest of the competition has figured it out, and then goes and plays with the same game plan the next week, what the hell?
I don't think there's figuring out a game plan, there's not executing a game plan properly. The use of run and carry works. We saw Adelaide do it to Carlton. There's no over handballing in the defensive half of the ground. When you handball to a player, they're moving, they're not standing. And that's what North Melbourne have done the last couple of weeks. They're looking to move the ball and gain momentum with stationary players. It doesn't work. And teams have figured out to go one-on-one, all over the ground, and that, to our advantage, if we kick it to players who we know can win in one-on-one contests like Edwards and Petrie.
Pretty much what we need to do is we need to realise that North's game plan now has to consist of just kick the bloody thing and kick it long, and make sure it goes to the advantage of players that have blue and white jumpers on.
But you guys think you can make finals, or you expect to?
Yeah,
I
expect.
Do you think the game plan can hold up in finals? Probably over handballing.
Okay. It's going to have to be. It's going to have to be a lot better than it is, because if we get into finals against teams like Carlton and Adelaide, who Adelaide will make finals this year, Adelaide and Sydney and West Coast, that game plan will be found out. We will get absolutely massacred by clubs that with that playing this style of play.
So, do you think it's almost worth it making finals, say finishing 7th or 8th, and getting pulverised by Adelaide?
And now we enter the tanking debate. I don't. I would prefer that we make finals, because if you finish in the bottom half, it makes you susceptible to media pressure. And the last time North was susceptible to media pressure, they almost killed the club. So I would prefer to make finals, but apparently this year's draft is really strong, so who knows?
Let's forget about draft. Let's forget about tanking. People say that, that sort of getting into finals and getting flogged has destroyed Essendon's confidence. That's an utter lie. They're pretty much in the top 4 and cruising at the moment.
Premiership favourites.
Behind Adelaide and West Coast.
It hurts to say it, but I think Essendon will win the premiership this year.
I have doubts over Essendon.
As in second half of the year?
I do have doubts. But, look, I think with North, it's really important to create a winning culture, so I don't buy into this tanking debate at all. I think at the end of the day, any club has to always create that culture every single time, and if North can make finals, and I think they should, but if they don't, there will be a lot of pressure on Scott next year.
I am willing to give Scott until this time next year, in exactly 365 days from now, in what's next week?
Round
9. Round 9 of 2013. If we're 6-3, 7-2, 8-1, 9-0 next year, great, Scott gets to keep it. If he's 5-4, borderline. Anything below that, I would say it's time to start looking elsewhere.
If he's behind the ledger, he's gone.
Yep.
I don't even think that's a personal, I think the club will act decisively, and they know when it doesn't work. Schimmelbusch, it was okay in 92. They have similar signs of the development. They came out in the first game in 93 in a practice match and lost to Adelaide by 20 goals, and then Hagan became coach.
Sacked Schimmelbusch.
And North didn't look back from there. North aren't reactive. When something needs to be fixed, they'll fix it. And
in just sorry again, I'm really sorry to interrupt.
Go.
Brent Harvey, he has been a champion of the league for a very long time, and he'll undoubtedly go down as a great. I mean, he's done everything there is to do it besides win a Brownlow. He's a premiership player and all that stuff. But it is sad to see someone who's held in such high regard in the AFL be so ineffective, and he's just being tagged out of games now. He's not damaging. It's not great. It's really sad to see. Do you think that he's coming to the end of his career? Do you think that North Melbourne are going to have to make a tough decision on him?
It was inevitable. I think everyone comes to the end of their career at some stage, but it's tough because he is such a club legend. How many games has he played? Over 300.
He's over 300 and...
Holds the record, doesn't
he? Yes.
So it's hard to see legends of the game go like he has, or is. I don't really know, to be honest. I think you got to let him play out the year.
Yeah, Harvey...
See if he grasps some form.
It will be...
You can always text us in to 0427 767 767. Have you got any opinions on North or anything else?
We've got a couple. We've got from Aiden. I hate blaming the coaches, but Scott was a big blame for that loss against Port Adelaide last week. Should have flooded the backline the last 5 minutes. I personally disagree.
Well, Jay Schultz went Super Saiyan and turned into Jesus Christ himself. I don't think anything would have stopped him. So
I think they should have gone to outright win the game. They shut up shop. They didn't even... North Melbourne didn't even want to attack. It's not as if they just didn't defend. They didn't attack either. So, if they kicked another goal, the game would have been done. When Port got within 2 or 3 goals, and once that happened, momentum shifted. That's football.
And to the other text message, what should happen if North Melbourne can't make the finals this year? I would say that an urgent review of the coach is needed, regardless of how he's going. If we can't make the finals this year, then we review the coaching situation.
If the midfield continues to act the way it is, and North miss out on finals because of a lacklustre midfield, I'm all for bringing Simo back to the club.
From Hawthorn.
Yes.
Another text message. Would North Melbourne be interested in Colin Sylvia?
Like I'd be interested in another hole in my face.
We don't have players at our club like that who full on disrespect the jumper and
passengers.
Passengers. Yeah. That's un-North Melbourne like.
Colin Sylvia is heaps good when he's in a great team, and when he's not in a good team, he's playing an absolute shitman.
I reckon Sydney would do good with him, to be honest. But
Sydney would do well with Colin Sylvia. You think he would he would undergo a Josh Kennedy style revival if he was traded to Sydney?
Sydney's very good at bringing out the best in players. We've seen that with all the players that have happened over the years.
Colin, if you're listening, we don't charge for life advice, but go to Sydney.
On that note, I think we should go to a break. We'll be back with Matt Suckling.
Get cereal!
Slept in this week?
This is what you missed.
Red child or rare child?
Rare child, like baby Steve.
Okay, but why is it... Oh.
We're not generally meant to ask why. Oh, yeah, right.
It just went quiet here at the studio.
Just for those who are visually impaired, Stephen is a ginger.
A beautiful ginger.
A beautiful ginger.
Great.
And he has very full, thick lips.
People say I am. I'll say that's just weird.
Get cereal. Get cereal.
Get cereal from 6 a.m. weekdays only on SIN.
It's time for a Panorama FYI.
The 2011 announced carbon tax aims to reduce Australia's carbon footprint by taxing industries on the amount of carbon they expel. As a result, heavily polluting industry products become more costly, while environmentally friendly industries become cheaper for the average consumer. Greener products become the norm in households rather than a luxury, and behavioural change towards fewer emissions occurs domestically and industrially. However, the plan is less than perfect, with many heavy polluters being exempt from the tax.
Get informed. Listen to Panorama 4:30 every weekday on SIN, or head to sin.org.au/panorama.
And we're back on Bound for Glory on SIN. We apologise for the technical difficulties. We won't be interviewing Robert Shaw today.
We're unsure of what the difficulties are.
Wasn't a sure thing.
Oh, dear God.
You haven't got the...
It's descended into farce. Anyway, we do have lined up for you an interview with Matt Suckling from the Hawthorn Football Club.
Absolute gun of a kick, too. Great player.
Fantastic rebound defender. Part of the revitalisation of Hawthorn after the disastrous 2009, after they won the flag. So here's Matt Suckling from the Hawks.
So growing up in NRL territory, what influenced you to take an active interest in Australian rules?
I think it was from my family. I think Dad played AFL all his life, and his brothers and sisters and all that did as well. So just growing up, always had an AFL ball in my hand, and of course watched a lot of rugby league growing up, but just always liked AFL a little bit better.
Okay, so Matt, how much of a thrill was it to play in the International Rules Series team?
Yeah, it was fantastic. It was obviously a little bit different with the round ball and different rules, but getting to meet a lot of different guys from other different clubs, getting along with them really well, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And coming into this season, Hawthorn were touted as serious premiership threats all throughout the media. Is that sort of added pressure good or bad for the club, do you think?
We've got pretty high expectations on ourselves going into the year, so we didn't really think about the outside pressure from the media and so forth. It's always nice to be an underdog, I suppose, but we just worry about the pressure we put on ourselves, and we want to finish sort of top 4 to give us the best chance in September.
Alright, so how does preparation for this week's game against Richmond differ from previous years, considering they've improved a fair bit this year?
Yeah, it's probably not a lot different, just a few more tricks up the sleeve, I suppose. They've had some good development from their younger players, and they're a lot more consistent across the park, so you can't just worry about 1 or 2 players. Yeah, they're really starting to come along well, so we've got to be at the top of our game to beat them on Saturday over.
And a lot of people say you've got a really unique kicking action. Where does that come from, and has it been influenced by the coaching staff at all?
Yeah, I do have a bit of a different kicking style. Just growing up, just the way I sort of taught myself to kick, as I was playing around at school and stuff like that, I started kicking like that, and the coaches really haven't said too much or tried to change my kicking style. It seems to work okay most occasions, so yeah, we just sort of run with it.
Alright, so considering you got a good kick, are your teammates more encouraged to hand pass to you, considering that?
I'm I'm not too sure. I suppose I'm always happy to get the ball, have a kick, so I'm always there screaming for it, so I'm hoping they're happy to handball to me.
Always helps for the dream teamers out there as well who've got you in their team.
I know a lot of friends and family back home got me in their team, so they always want me getting as many kicks as I can.
And people have criticised Hawthorn's defensive abilities recently. Do you think they're selling you short?
I'm not too sure. I think there's been a lot said about our key position guys and maybe a few players that kicked some goals against us, but I think we're in a pretty good space in our defensive unit at the moment, and I suppose with all other clubs you'd rely on pressure from your forwards and your midfield, so if we've got enough pressure there, we don't see any problem with our defence.
And coming through the rookie draft, was that much of a different experience to you comparing to other players in your team who have come through the main draft?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a little bit different. I suppose you can't play senior footy until you get promoted, and you're obviously on a little bit less money. So in the city, that can be quite tough if you're on the rookie list for a few years. It's a bit of a fight to survive month to month sort of thing, but I think the rookie system's a great system and allows more young players that miss out on the draft to get a shot at AFL.
Matt Suckling there from the Hawthorn Football Club. He had an interesting opinion on the rookie list. Should it be utilised more?
Well, it's obviously working for a few players. I mean, there's some guns that have come through the rookie list. Matthew Boyd, first one that springs to mind. Matt Suckling, it's really handy for some players who can dominate lower leagues and finally get a crack at AFL.
I mean, also Sandilands was rookie listed as well.
And Mark Jamer.
Sam Mitchell come off the rookie list?
No, he was a late pick in the 2001 draft.
And it's a good opportunity now for the older, mature age rookies as well to come through if they didn't get their initial chance through the national draft.
Yeah, often allows a lot of the injured players to stay on with an extra year as a rookie because clubs aren't willing to invest the time in waiting for those injured players to come back and make an impact, but they can often just put them on the rookie list and let them take them one spot on the list there.
If you have an opinion on rookie listing or anything football related, text us on 0427 767 767. That's 0427 767. We're going to jump to some ads and we'll be right back to preview all today's games.
It's time for a Panorama FYI.
The 2011 announced carbon tax aims to reduce Australia's carbon footprint by taxing industries on the amount of carbon they expel. As a result, heavily polluting industry products become more costly, while environmentally friendly industries become cheaper for the average consumer. Greener products become the norm in households rather than a luxury, and behavioural change towards fewer emissions occurs domestically and industrially. However, the plan is less than perfect, with many heavy polluters being exempt from the tax.
Get informed. Listen to Panorama 4:30 every weekday on SYN, or head to syn.org.au/panorama.
Get cereal!
Slept in this week?
This is what you missed.
Red child or rare child?
Rare child, like baby Steve.
Yeah, but why is it... Oh.
We're not generally meant to ask why. Oh, yeah, right.
It just went quiet here at the studio.
Just for those who are visually impaired, Stephen is a ginger.
A beautiful ginger.
A beautiful ginger.
Great.
And he has very full, thick lips.
People say I would say that's just weird.
Get cereal.
Get cereal.
Get cereal from 6 a.m. weekdays only on SYN.
SYN Radio.
And we're back on SYN, Bound for Glory. We're going to preview this week's games. Round 9 will continue today at the MCG between the Tigers and the Hawks. So Tigers in a vein of form, but they're not getting the results.
No, they're not. I think the Tigers have looked very good. Their mental intensity has lifted, and I think they will be playing finals football within the next 2 years. But they still, at the end of the day, have lost their games. I don't see them beating Hawthorn at all here. I think Buddy Franklin will have a day out against Batchelor as well.
They've had a bloody tough draw, though. 3-5 with a percentage of 102, I believe, is just fairly abnormal. But you'd expect Hawthorn to win, as Prahlad said. Franklin versus Batchelor and Rants on Roughhead.
We do know that the teams never line up as they're named, so Batchelor probably won't spend too much
you've
time
got
on
Franklin, Roughhead and Hale versus the back line of Rants and Batchelor.
You'd
not going to cut it.
You'd say Griffiths would go to
Franklin. Yes, there's Griffiths as well.
Yeah, they're going to really miss Grimes today.
They're going to need to double team.
Isn't
Franklin.
Griffiths first week back from an injury?
No, I think it's his first week back from the seconds.
He's been playing VFL.
All right, well, first week back from the VFL. All right, let's see how you go, Mr. Griffiths. Stick you on Buddy Franklin. Enjoy.
It's only because Rance didn't want him.
Poor old Alex Rance. Unfairly maligned in the AFL world nowadays.
But another inclusion for Richmond is Tyrone Vickery, making his return. Very good player.
Yeah. Playing on Clanger Makers. I mean, Shooter Makers.
Wasn't he a guest on the show? No, he wasn't actually. He was supposed to be. Yeah. So be nice, please.
I'm sorry, Ryan.
I hurt his feelings.
Sorry.
Franklin has kicked 15 goals in the last 4 games against Richmond.
How many points?
Probably a lot more than 15.
He's kicked
over 9,000.
He's kicked 20 goals, 33 this year, I believe. Which is nuts. He'd be clearly leading the Coleman if he was kicking straight. But regardless, you'd expect Hawthorn to win this one. I reckon by about 4 goals. Richmond will show fight and endeavour as always, but I'm tipping Hawthorn.
Yeah, I'd say about 5 goals, Hawthorn as well.
I'll be going to this later today. I think if it rains, Richmond will get closer to Hawthorn. I don't think Hawthorn are a very good wet weather team. You saw them against Geelong earlier in the year. They had a chance to deliver the knockout blow, and they didn't bring it. And it's because their skills failed them in the wet. And if Richmond put enough pressure on them today, I think it'll be closer than what we think. But I think the Hawks by a good 3-4 goals.
Yeah, I'm going to tip Hawthorn by about 7 goals because, Franklin occasionally just has weeks where his radar's on, and I think this is going to be one of those weeks. And I don't think that Richmond have a proper matchup for him, so he's going to get on a tear this week.
Richmond have been performing pretty well over the past few weeks. But I think the Hawks are going to be too strong. I reckon the Hawks by about 4 goals.
Also, if you head in the game today, car parks have been closed.
No parking at the
MCG. No parking at the MCG.
Enter via canoe, I think.
I'm going to love riding on public transport.
Therefore, plug for Metro Trains. Yes, get on Metro Trains. They will get you to where you need to go. It's 4 hours late.
They've actually cancelled some services, or not necessarily cancelled, but they're doing an express. So a lot of people will miss out on catching their trains today, so that's poor form by Metro.
Trains is an absolute disgrace. Bring back Connex.
Anyway, Moving on. The Suns and the Power up at Metricon.
The annual Who Cares Cup.
I'd say there's a bit more at stake than that.
Oh, that's right.
I care because I go from Melbourne.
Pay back Gold Coast.
Their first win they got against Port last year.
I apologise and retract my callous statement.
Port lose today. Primus loses all the goodwill he won last week.
Yeah.
That saved his ass for another 2 weeks. He loses today. He could be gone in a month because they've got a tough month coming up.
But you think Gold Coast, if they lose today against Port Adelaide, who aren't a very good team, home game, they still haven't won a game at Metricon, I believe.
McKenna had just been signed for 2 years. Now,
why?
I actually thought exactly right. I thought it was a wrong decision.
I agree. No, I think 2 years is perfect. They're still a developing side. You've got to remember most of their senior players are missing. I think they've still got to work some things out. Lynch and Day, people are expecting too much from key forwards. Key forwards don't...
Big men take time.
Exactly. They don't develop in a straight line.
They could do good with Travis Cloak, to be honest.
Yeah, if I was a Gold Coast, I'd make a play because, key forwards like Day and Lynch and key forwards in general need mentors, and I think that's something Travis Cloak could bring to the Gold Coast.
Just on McKenna, what happened to the winning quota he was supposed to meet? Wasn't he supposed to get like a number of wins before he was actually signed up
6 wins this year.
Yeah.
6 wins?
Have they gone back on their word?
They've gone back on their word.
That was actually false. That was false by Damien Barrett. That was reported as false.
That's not a surprise.
I'm looking forward to seeing Monster Head Brett Ebert go about again. It's always fun to see. Fun to see him drag his monster bonce around the ground.
Destroying in the Supercoach just quietly to bring that in. He's averaging over 100 points.
Brett Ebert?
Yes.
Brad.
Sure you don't mean Brad?
Brad, sorry. Brett's
the one with the massive bonce.
There's 2 Waterheads then.
2 Waterheads. The Waterhead Academy.
It's actually the Waterhead family.
Brad Ebert's a very good player. He's been in great form this year. Great pick up for Port Adelaide. And I reckon he will lead them to another win by probably about 4 goals.
I'd say Port by about 3 goals.
Port by a kick.
I'm going to tip Gold Coast, just because I can.
No, you can't.
I'm not allowed to do that now. No, I'm going to tip the Gold Coast because Ablett he'll have match fitness in the legs after last week, and I just don't like Port very much at the moment, so I have to tip the Gold Coast.
Yeah, I reckon Gold Coast aren't without a chance. We all remember what they did to them last year. It's kind of reminiscent of last week's match, Port and North.
Oh!
Sorry, did I mention that again? Oh God, I'm sorry.
Did North lose last week? What happened? Sorry,
you didn't hear it?
Wait, did Carlton lose also? Yes. Hold on, why is there a Melbourne supporter laughing at us?
Anyway, I reckon...
Because at least I know we can't go any lower.
Port should win in a close one.
So I'm the only one tipping the Gold Coast here. Come on, guys. A little bit of support for the expansion teams would be nice.
No.
But moving on, St Kilda versus Sydney at Etihad. Twilight game today. I reckon it looks to be a close game, this one. Sydney, well, they have troubles at the MCG. I reckon they go all right at Etihad. But St Kilda, they've been okay against good teams. They beat Carlton.
St Kilda's mosquito fleet especially. Their defence was poor in the first half last week. West Coast weren't all that flash, and they still managed to get the ball in there just way too frequently. They improved it in the second half, and they started getting dry from defence, and they got back in the game. They didn't win, but they put in a pretty good effort, better than North.
Lenny Hayes' 250th game this week as well.
Good old Lenny.
Lenny.
I think
the original gentleman of the AFL. Everyone loves Lenny.
Anyone not like Lenny?
I love Lenny.
Yeah. Love Lenny.
Lenny's a great man.
I think he's the only player from the Saints that I love.
I think you could hate the entire St Kilda team and still love Lenny. Lenny would never have got involved with Kim Duthie.
You would have taken her out to a nice dinner.
It would have been wine and dine, not like dingy apartment in Frankston type thing.
But actually focusing on the game, well, looking at St Kilda's forward line, it looks pretty lethal, as they've Carlton found out the hard way. Milne, Malera, Sard, Sipos comes in, bunch of small forwards. It's going to be a tough ask for Sydney with Richards, Grundy, Shaw, Matner, Smith, Molcheski. It's going to be a tough ask to combat all the small forwards at St Kilda.
And throwing Rewald and Cosby as well, who seems to be hitting some form at the moment.
I'm personally looking forward to the ruck contest between Koschitzki and Mike Pike. That is my marquee matchup.
Hey, I got Mike Pike in my ultimate footy team, so you better... Because I've got Robbie Warnock and Cameron Wood.
He was the only one left.
He was the only one left. Just back on track, you'd think Parker and Hanbury, two of Sydney's quicker players, would have to step up today because the Saints will run rings around them. The Mosquito fleet troubled Carlton. It troubled the Eagles in the second half. And that might also be a factor. They come back from Perth. They've had a 6-day break. I think, personally, the Swans by a goal. I hope the Saints can get up for Lenny, but I just think Sydney just have too much class.
Yeah, I don't think Sydney really know how to win in Melbourne, to be honest with you. They can't win at the MCG.
They can't win at the MCG, but they go all right at Etihad.
They're spotty at best at Etihad. I'm going to tip the Swans because St Kilda are coming back from WA, and no one ever wins coming back from WA. So based on that, I'm going to go with Sydney by about 3 goals.
Yeah, I agree. I reckon Sydney... It's a bit close game. Yeah, Sydney by about 3 goals, probably.
I think it'll be Saints by about 2 kicks, especially with Goodson in the team at the moment.
It's going to, as you said, it's going to be an interesting battle in the ruck department.
And Mumford's still out too.
Who else is rucking for them?
That's an interesting
Reece Stanley's out too.
Blake. I think Blake is going to pinch
Blake
in the ruck.
Yeah,
it was a few years ago.
High jump
he was
champion
pinching in the
junior
ruck.
or something.
But I reckon the Swannies should get up.
Just funny, talking about St Kilda's potent forward line, they've got Tom Simpkin at full forward.
Yeah. So potent. Oh my God.
No Reece Stanley.
The potency is just incredible.
If Stanley was in, he'd play there. That's a massive loss.
And how's the Irishman as well? He played a good game. He's
Tommy Walsh.
Game. Yeah. Played very well. I think he kicked a couple of goals last week.
I think if he continues his vein of form, that's something St Kilda's missed out on. Okay. That's their replacement for one of either Cosy or Rewalt once they go.
Absolutely.
Right.
Now, moving on to what I think is the blockbuster of this round, and that's Greater Western Sydney versus Essendon. We've got Sheedy versus Hurd. Sheedy's been in the media. He's talked up how he would have traded Jobe Watson out of Essendon had he stayed coach at Essendon. And it's been an interesting week, I think. And
He's a troll.
I think Greater Western Sydney rested 8 players in anticipation for this game, so it will be close. Although I still expect Essendon to win quite comfortably.
Close. I think it'll be just a matter of how much Essendon take the foot off the pedal.
Look, Essendon will win.
Yes.
I think we can universally agree on that. But I have a little feeling that Greater Western Sydney will push hard. Great first half. I reckon it'll be very close. But Essendon with their extra legs, extra match AFL fitness, they'll probably push home, win by 40 points or so.
Yeah, an interesting matchup. Shield will tag Stanton. I think he's going to have his work cut out because Stanton is just a ridiculous runner. All good midfielders nowadays need that gut-running ability, and he racks them up. I think Essendon by about 6 goals. You can see him giving them a fright in the first half, but after that, they won't have the legs to go with them.
Essendon by well over 100 points.
Actually,
Great Western Sydney at $17 to win, put them in the multi.
For all the punters out there, I believe Essendon between 80 and 99 points is something like $5.
Yeah,
so
$5-6. Yeah,
get on that.
Get around that.
Yeah.
Boys, tips.
I reckon. Essendon will do a number on GWS. It's going to be interesting seeing the Hurdy and Sheedy factor coming into it. Big build-up. But I reckon it'll fizzle down and the Bombers should get up.
Yeah, I'd say the Bombers as well, but I think it will be a lot closer than a lot of you think. It'll be probably about 30 points, and it'll be interesting to see how...
Prahlad, talk down your team. You're going to
I have a lot of faith in Sheedy. He's been with us for a long time.
Come on.
But no Fletcher, so it'll be interesting to see how the backline with Essendon performs, because they did struggle against Richmond when he went off last week.
Adelaide Collingwood now. Probably match of the round.
Yeah, that's match of the round.
Not being shown on free-to-air.
Thank God.
Thank you, Fox Footy.
I need Fox still. But it looks like it's going to be a good match, because Collingwood have been fairly underrated this year. I think they're 6-2. They've won their last 5. Nathan Buckley is just... It was mentioned on Footy Classified. Caroline Wilson, I think, brought this up.
Cowo.
But Collingwood have really flown on the radar. They're 5th on the ladder. I think we can agree Adelaide will win. Swan, Reid out for Collingwood. Lockie Keefe's has a huge job ahead of him with handling Tippett and Jenkins.
Dangerfield is named to line up on Wellingham, and that could get ugly. Like really.
Wellingham's not too bad.
Wellingham hasn't got the tank to run with Dangerfield.
No, Dangerfield is on another level right now. His last couple of weeks have been unbelievable.
The next Judd, according to Lee Matthews.
Yeah. Also, just on the SMS line, actually, that's pretty scary. This is a fact I was about to read out. Pies have won the last 7 at Amy Stadium, and the Crows haven't beaten there since 2006. Also on that, those 7 wins by an average of 39 points.
That is huge.
That's going to be a massive factor. I think Collingwood do step up when they play Adelaide. They kick something like 12 goals in the last quarter.
Still tipping them to reverse that trend, I think.
It'd be closer than everyone thinks. I think the Crows by a kick.
Yep.
I think, based on that factor, I'm actually going for the Pies. I think it's one of those teams that the Pies match up well on. I think if they can contain Tippett, they'll win. It's relying really on Maxwell, who I don't really rate as a defender. But I think the Pies
does.
I don't rate him as a human.
I think I'm going to go with the Pies as well with their record at Amy.
Jamie Elliott and Marley Williams both making their debut for Collingwood as well. But North and Brisbane. What do you guys? I'm just going to leave it with you two.
With no confidence, I tip North Melbourne with absolutely zero confidence.
I tip North simply because I think I have to, just to maintain my own sanity.
Out of obligation.
Aaron Black making his debut. Not his debut, just playing his second game. He played one last year against Richmond, kicked a nice goal and was subbed off for it. He'll be more than likely be the sub again this time around. North are $1.25 for some odd reason. Brisbane are $4. Elliot Yeo. Not sure what his background is, but he's making his
WA.
WA. He's but he wasn't.
No, he's from WA.
Okay.
Asian descent.
Asian descent. Yep. That's what I'm trying to get at. He's making his debut this week against North, and I don't know. I'm really horrified to see as to what happens with Jonathan Brown, because we do have Michael Frito named on him, and that will get bad. So I'm going to tip North, but with no confidence.
New Brisbane power forward, Daniel Merritt.
Sauce!
Oh, yes.
Daniel Merritt got lucky. Yeah, he kicked 5 in the first quarter.
6 got. No,
everyone's. I just want to say, don't praise Voss for that experiment. He kicked 5 in a quarter. What else did he do for the rest of the match?
He kicked 2 more.
Yeah, he didn't. No, he did nothing for 3 quarters.
That was against Greater Western.
Against GWS, he did nothing. You look lost.
Boys,
so no praising Voss.
He was the spark.
Let's go.
Tips, let's go.
I'm going to tip North by probably about 3 goals. It's going to be close, low scoring, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I'd love Brisbane to win, but I think North will get up by about 4 goals.
Yeah, North should get up.
Just quick.
Carlton Melbourne game.
Can Melbourne get their first win?
No.
Yep. Same.
No.
Come on, eighth. Confidence.
Any confidence at all?
No.
Give me one reason why Melbourne can win tomorrow.
Carlton are in bad form.
No.
Because they've taken out Davey, Sylvia, and
Good
and
move.
Morton. And Morton.
Carlton just don't show up.
Morton. I will say this: dropping Morton was a bad move.
McLean's back though.
Bad move.
Last game of round 9. I think we all tipped Carlton there.
Derby or Derby, just quickly?
It's Derby.
I go with Derby.
I go with Derby.
I go to Derby.
Western Australians.
An issue for another day. I'm going to tip West Coast.
These always show up in odd results, so I'm tipping Freo.
Yeah, I've tipped West Coast, but I would have no surprise with Freo getting up.
I think Freo will get up.
Yeah, it's a 50-50 match, but I'll go with West Coast.
Pritta's coming back too. Big inclusion.
And
Kobe Stevens out.
And before we wrap up today, just follow us on Twitter, Bound for Twitter FM.
At Bound for Glory FM on Twitter.
Same
Bound
on
for Glory
Facebook.
on Facebook. We are looking for writers for a project we're putting together on a website. So if you'd like to be involved, tweet at Bound for Glory FM.
Just
with
more
your
footy writing.
Yeah.
Or even
I'm sure a few of us have been involved in that.
DM us on Facebook.
Yep. Can't DM on Facebook, bro.
What is it?
Private message.
Private message. I haven't
Inbox.
used Facebook in years. Big footy news. Get around that. Great news source. All your previews, reviews, stories, and I guess that we're done for another
Ladies and
week.
gentlemen, that is us done for this Saturday. Enjoy your football, and we will
Cheers.
be back next week. See you
See you
later.
guys.
See you next week.